The world is not short of ideas. Every single day, millions of people wake up with brilliant thoughts, flashes of genius and possibilities that could change the world. Yet very few turn those ideas into wealth, into businesses, into impact that transforms lives. The difference is not the idea itself, but the execution behind the idea. You see, an idea is like a seed. By itself, it holds potential, but without planting, nurturing, watering, and protecting it, it will never grow into a tree that produces fruit. Most people talk themselves out of their own greatness. They overthink, they procrastinate, or they wait for the perfect moment, forgetting that wealth is created not in perfection, but in motion. The secret to turning ideas into millions is not about waiting for a lightning bolt moment, but about developing the courage to act on the idea you already have. When you take an idea and combine it with belief, strategy, and consistent execution, it multiplies. What starts as a spark in your mind becomes a product, a service, a solution that someone is desperately waiting for. And here's the truth. People do not pay you for the idea. They pay you for the value that the idea creates in their lives. That means the faster you transform your idea into something tangible, the faster you position yourself to create wealth. There are people who sit on their ideas for years, talking themselves out of them, convincing themselves they are not ready. And then they look up one day and see someone else running with the exact same concept, creating millions, and they realize the opportunity was always available. It was never about the scarcity of ideas. It was about the scarcity of action. Wealth creation is never an accident. It's not a stroke of luck. It is a combination of imagination and implementation. If you can see the invisible in your mind and then do the uncomfortable, in real life, you can create the impossible. Turning ideas into millions requires discipline, faith, and an unshakable commitment to move forward, even when it feels uncertain. The person who wins is not the one with the best idea. The person who wins is the one who acts boldly, who learns quickly, and who refuses to quit when the challenges come. Your idea is waiting for you to stop thinking small and start building big. The real secret is not to ask, can I do this? But to declare, I must do this, and I will not stop until it's done. Ideas are worthless without execution. At first glance, that statement may sound harsh, but it is one of the most liberating truths you will ever embrace. Every single person has ideas, some big, some small, some groundbreaking. But history does not remember those who had ideas. It remembers those who acted on them. The value of an idea is never in the thought itself, but in what you choose to do with it. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, I thought about that years ago after seeing a product become wildly successful? People often comfort themselves with the belief that thinking of it first matters. But the truth is, the marketplace does not reward thoughts, it rewards results. The person who takes action, who risks failing, who dares to put the idea into the world, is the one who reaps the benefits. Execution is what separates the dreamers from the doers, and the doers are always the ones who create wealth. Execution is difficult because it demands more than just creativity. It requires commitment, discipline, and persistence. It forces you to step into discomfort and uncertainty. Many people live their lives waiting for the perfect time to act on an idea, but the perfect time does not exist. The right time is the moment you decide to act. Every day you delay is another day someone else gets closer to creating the same idea. When you execute, you turn invisible thoughts into tangible products, services, or solutions. That transition from invisible to visible is where wealth is born. For example, someone may have the idea of writing a book, but the wealth is not in the idea. It's in publishing the book, distributing it, and creating value for readers. Someone may think of building a mobile app, but unless that app is designed, coded, and launched, the idea is just air. Execution is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. Another reason execution matters is that it forces growth. When you execute, you encounter problems, challenges, and obstacles, but those problems refine you, sharpen your skills, and force you to innovate. Execution teaches you lessons that no amount of theory can. That growth, in turn, prepares you for bigger opportunities. The very process of acting on your idea makes you a person capable of creating wealth. Execution also builds momentum. When you start small, you learn. When you learn, you improve. When you improve, you gain confidence. That confidence pushes you to act again, and soon your small idea has grown into something much larger than you ever imagined. Without execution, you remain stuck in your head, trapped in endless cycles of what if. With execution, you create a chain reaction of progress that leads to opportunities you could not see before. The truth is, an unexecuted idea is a burden, not a blessing. It weighs you down because you know you're capable of more, yet you refuse to act. But the moment you execute, you unlock energy, creativity, and possibilities that were dormant inside you. The world does not need more dreamers. The world needs doers, people who have the courage to turn dreams into reality. So the next time an idea comes to your mind, don't just write it down in a notebook and forget it. Ask yourself, what is the very next step I can take right now to move this forward? Maybe it's making a phone call, sketching a design, researching the market, or simply setting aside 1 hour a day to work on it. Whatever it is, take action immediately. That simple step separates you from the masses who live and die with unexecuted ideas. Ideas are abundant. Execution is rare, and rarity is where wealth lives. When you execute, you enter a small circle of people who not only think, but also act. That is where the millions are made. Perfection is one of the biggest illusions that holds people back from creating wealth. Too often people wait for the perfect idea, the perfect timing, or the perfect conditions before they take the first step. But here's the truth. Perfection does not exist, and waiting for it is the fastest way to kill momentum. Wealth is not created by those who wait until everything lines up. It is created by those who take action, learn along the way, and keep moving forward in spite of imperfections. Action creates wealth because action produces results. Even imperfect action is better than the most brilliant idea left untouched. Think of the countless people who spend years writing business plans, refining concepts, or daydreaming about what could be, yet never launch anything. Contrast that with the person who takes messy, unpolished action, who puts out a product, tests the market, gets feedback, and adapts. That person is already moving toward wealth, while the perfectionist is still standing at the starting line. When you take action, you give your idea a chance to breathe. Action allows you to see how people respond, what works and what doesn't. It allows you to gather information that you could never discover in theory. The market is the best teacher, but you can only learn from it when you step out of your head and into execution. Waiting for perfection often means waiting for certainty, but certainty never comes. Action, not waiting, is what creates clarity. Wealth is not the result of flawless execution. It is the result of consistent execution. Look at some of the greatest companies in the world. Many of them started with products that were far from perfect. The first versions of their ideas were basic, sometimes even clumsy. But those companies grew wealthy because they acted, released their products, listened to their customers, and improved over time. They understood that speed matters more than perfection. If you are willing to start before you feel ready, you put yourself in a position to adjust and grow faster than the one who keeps waiting. Another reason action creates wealth is because it builds confidence. Perfectionism comes from fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. But when you act, you begin to see that mistakes are not fatal. Failure is simply feedback. Every step you take, even if imperfect, proves to you that you are capable of moving forward. That confidence compounds, and with it, your ability to create wealth grows. The person who acts daily builds momentum, and momentum is the fuel that drives success. Perfectionists often underestimate the cost of inaction. Every day you delay, you lose opportunities. You lose potential customers, potential partners, and potential income. The person who launches early, even imperfectly, is gaining ground, learning lessons, and building relationships that you can't build by waiting. Wealth is attracted to speed because speed allows you to serve more people, solve problems faster, and claim opportunities before others do. It's also important to understand that people don't expect perfection. They expect progress. Your clients, your audience, your customers, they want solutions. They want value. They are not sitting around hoping you deliver a flawless masterpiece. They are hoping you deliver something that helps them. When you act, you create that value. And as you refine and improve, you create even more. Wealth flows to those who create value consistently, not those who sit in silence waiting for the perfect moment. The pursuit of perfection often disguises itself as wisdom, but in reality, it is fear wearing a mask. Wisdom says, start and adjust as you go. Fear says, wait until you're sure. If you let fear guide you, you will stay stuck forever. But if you embrace action, even imperfect action, you will discover that progress beats perfection every time. The marketplace is not impressed by concepts. It does not reward the person who has the brightest idea stored away in a notebook or floating around in their head. People pay for one thing and one thing only: value. Value is what solves problems, eases pain, creates opportunities, and improves lives. And until your ideas transform into something that creates real, tangible value for others, it has no financial worth. Think of it this way. If you walk into a store and see a shelf filled with empty boxes, would you pay money for them? Of course not, because the box itself holds no value until something useful is placed inside. That is exactly what happens when someone holds on to a concept without execution. The idea may sound good, it may even be brilliant, but until it delivers a result that matters to people, it has no power to generate wealth. Wealth is always an exchange. People don't hand you their money because you had a clever thought. They hand you their money because you gave them something they need. That might be a product that saves them time, a service that makes life easier, or a solution that fulfills a deep desire. The key is understanding that wealth is not about you, it's about them. When you stop focusing on how amazing your idea is and start focusing on the value it delivers, you unlock the door to abundance. History is filled with examples of this principle. There are inventors who died poor even though they created incredible concepts, simply because they never found a way to deliver those ideas as value to the world. On the other hand, there are people who took simple, ordinary ideas and became wealthy because they figured out how to package, market, and deliver them in a way that served people. The difference was not the concept, it was the value people could experience. The moment you shift from I have an idea to how can this idea solve Myron's problem, you shift from dreaming to building wealth. People are not waiting for your concepts. They are waiting for your solutions. The person struggling with their finances, their health, their business, or their relationships is not looking for theories. They are looking for answers. And the one who provides answers becomes valuable, and the one who becomes valuable becomes wealthy. This is why execution matters so deeply. Execution is how you transform a concept into value. If you write down a song, it's a concept. But when you record it, produce it, and allow someone to hear it, it becomes value. If you think about a software app, that's just a concept. But when you build it, launch it, and someone uses it to make their life easier, it becomes value. Value is the currency of the marketplace, and it is created through action. Another truth about value is that it multiplies when it's shared. The more people you can serve, the more wealth you can create. A concept sitting in your head serves no one. But a product, service, or system based on that concept has the power to reach hundreds, thousands, even millions of people. That's when the wealth begins to grow exponentially, not because of the brilliance of the concept, but because of the reach of the value. It's also important to realize that value is defined by the receiver, not the creator. You may think your idea is priceless, but the marketplace will only pay for what it considers valuable. That means you must pay attention to the needs, desires, and pains of others. The fastest way to wealth is to stop asking, what do I want to create? And start asking, what do they need me to create? When you align your idea with the needs of the people you serve, you create unstoppable momentum. Fear is the silent thief of destiny. Procrastination is its partner in crime. Together, they have robbed more people of wealth, success, and fulfillment than failure ever has. Most people don't lose because they tried and failed. They lose because they never tried at all. They stand frozen, paralyzed by fear, and then they soothe themselves with procrastination, saying, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start when I'm ready. I'll begin when the timing is right. But tomorrow never comes, and the timing never feels perfect. Opportunity passes them by, and they are left with regret. Fear whispers lies into the minds of dreamers. It says, what if you fail? What if people laugh at you? What if it doesn't work? But what fear never tells you is the greater risk. What if you succeed? What if your life changes? What if your idea impacts millions of people? Fear tries to blind you from seeing the truth that the real danger is not in acting, but in refusing to act. Procrastination then comes along as fear's disguise. It makes you feel safe because it convinces you that you are not quitting, you are simply waiting. But waiting is just another form of quitting in slow motion. Every time you delay, you push your dream further into the distance. You convince yourself you're being wise when in reality you're being trapped. Procrastination is the enemy of progress, and progress is the soil where wealth grows. Opportunities are like doors. They don't stay open forever. They appear, they invite you in, but if you hesitate, they close. Too many people spend their lives staring at closed doors, wishing they had walked through when they had the chance. The truth is, opportunities are time sensitive. What is possible today may not be possible tomorrow because the world keeps moving, the market keeps changing, and competitors keep advancing. Fear and procrastination make you miss the moment. And in wealth creation, timing is everything. The cost of fear and procrastination is not just financial, it's emotional, mental, and spiritual. Every time you hesitate, you weaken your confidence. You begin to doubt yourself more. You replay missed chances in your mind and carry the heavy burden of what could have been. Over time, this pattern conditions you to accept less than what you are capable of until mediocrity feels normal. That is the slow death of potential, and it begins with fear and procrastination. But here's the good news. Courage and action are stronger than fear and procrastination. Fear loses its power the moment you take action. Procrastination disappears the moment you move forward. The antidote to fear is not waiting until you feel ready. It's doing the thing even when you don't feel ready. Every bold step you take weakens fear's grip on your life. And with every action, you create momentum that drowns out procrastination. Wealth is not waiting for the perfect person. It is waiting for the person who is willing to act. The marketplace does not pay the one who had the idea first. It pays the one who acted first. The people who overcome fear and crush procrastination are the ones who capture the opportunities while others are still hesitating. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone succeed with something you thought about years ago? You hesitated, they acted. You procrastinated, they executed. The difference wasn't intelligence, resources, or even talent. It was action. And behind action was the decision to conquer fear and refuse to procrastinate. Fear and procrastination also keep you stuck in the illusion of preparation. You tell yourself you're not ready yet, but the truth is you will never feel fully ready. Readiness is created through action. You don't become confident and then act. You act and then you become confident. You don't become an expert before you start. You start, and through experience, you become an expert. Wealth is never built by accident. It is the product of two powerful forces working together, imagination and implementation. Imagination allows you to see possibilities that others cannot see, and implementation allows you to bring those possibilities into reality. One without the other is incomplete. Imagination without implementation is fantasy. Implementation without imagination is labor without vision. But when you combine the two, you unlock the formula that has built empires, transformed industries, and created generational wealth. Imagination is the spark. It is the ability to see what doesn't exist yet, to create a vision of a future that others cannot comprehend. Every invention, every breakthrough, every business that has ever changed the world began in the imagination of someone who dared to dream. The Wright brothers imagined flying when the world thought it was impossible. Steve Jobs imagined a phone that could fit the internet into your pocket when most people couldn't see beyond buttons and keyboards. That spark of imagination is the seed of wealth. But imagination alone will not pay the bills. Too many people live in their imagination, constantly dreaming, constantly visualizing, but never acting. They spend their lives imagining success, but never implementing the steps to achieve it. That is why imagination must be paired with implementation. Implementation is the soil, the water, the sunlight that makes the seed grow. It is the process of taking what you see in your mind and turning it into something tangible in the world. Without implementation, imagination dies unborn. Implementation requires courage, discipline, and persistence. It means doing the work, making the calls, building the product, testing, failing, and trying again. Implementation is not glamorous, but it is necessary. It is what transforms the unseen into the seen. Imagine an architect who has blueprints for the most beautiful building in the world. If those blueprints never make it into the hands of a builder, the building will never stand. The wealth is not in the drawings, it is in the completed structure. That is the power of implementation. The people who create wealth are not necessarily the ones with the biggest imaginations or the most brilliant ideas. They are the ones who marry imagination with relentless implementation. They dream big, but they also execute small, consistent steps every single day. They know that wealth is not built in a single leap. It is built brick by brick, action by action, decision by decision. They understand that every little piece of implementation brings them closer to manifesting the vision their imagination conceived. Wealth also requires a constant dialogue between imagination and implementation. Imagination gives direction, but implementation gives feedback. When you implement, you discover what works and what doesn't. That feedback then refuels your imagination, inspiring new ideas and adjustments. It's a cycle. Imagine, implement, refine, repeat. The more cycles you go through, the more refined your ideas become and the more value you create. And as we know, wealth always follows value. Some people underestimate imagination, believing it to be just dreaming. Others underestimate implementation, believing that dreaming alone will attract success. Both perspectives are wrong. The truth is that imagination gives you the ability to innovate, while implementation gives you the ability to dominate. When you innovate, you stand out. When you dominate, you build wealth that lasts. The most successful people in history understood this balance. They protected their imagination by feeding it with knowledge, creativity, and vision, but they also disciplined themselves to act on those ideas. They didn't just dream of better products, they built them. They didn't just imagine serving millions, they created systems to reach millions. Everywhere you look, you will find people who dream. People dream of wealth, freedom, success, and impact. They dream of starting businesses, writing books, creating inventions, or changing lives. But if you look closely, you'll also notice that most dreams never leave the mind of the dreamer. They stay locked away, untouched, and unrealized. Why? Because dreams without bold and consistent execution never become reality. It is not dreaming that separates achievers from everyone else. It is execution. Execution is where the line is drawn. Dreamers imagine the life they want. Achievers build it. Dreamers talk about what they will do someday. Achievers take steps today. Dreamers wait for permission, the right moment, or the guarantee of success. Achievers act boldly without guarantees. Achievers understand a powerful truth. Success does not come to those who wish for it. It comes to those who work for it. But not just any execution will do. It must be bold. Bold execution means stepping out of your comfort zone, taking risks, and daring to do what others are too afraid to try. Boldness is not recklessness. It is the courage to move forward even when you don't have all the answers. Bold execution says, I may not know everything, but I will start anyway. It is about having the audacity to believe in your vision enough to take action when others hesitate. Equally important is consistency. One bold step is not enough. Wealth is not built by sporadic bursts of effort. It is built by steady, persistent action over time. Consistency compounds. Every small action you take builds momentum. Every consistent effort strengthens your skills, sharpens your strategies, and moves you closer to success. It is like drops of water falling on a stone. One drop may seem insignificant, but over time it shapes the rock. Consistency shapes your future the same way. The problem is that many people confuse inspiration with execution. They attend a seminar, read a book, or watch a motivational video and feel fired up. In that moment, they dream bigger. But then when the excitement fades, so does their effort. They never build the habit of consistent execution. Inspiration is the spark, but consistency is the firewood. Without consistency, the fire dies. With it, the fire grows into something unstoppable. Bold, consistent execution also builds resilience. The truth is, you will face setbacks, failures, and obstacles along the way. But when you keep moving, when you refuse to quit, those failures turn into lessons, and those lessons turn into breakthroughs. Achievers are not people who never fail. They are people who keep executing until failure turns into success. Dreamers quit when it gets hard. Achievers press on until it gets done. Look at any great success story and you will find the same pattern: boldness to start and consistency to finish. Entrepreneurs who built billion-dollar companies weren't the only ones with ideas. Millions of people had similar ideas. What made the difference was that they had the courage to launch boldly and the discipline to keep building day after day, year after year. That is why they are achievers. Wealth rewards the consistent, not the inconsistent. It rewards the bold, not the timid. If you want to separate yourself from the masses of dreamers, you must embrace boldness and consistency as your lifestyle. Don't just dream of writing the book. Write every day. Don't just dream of building the business. Take bold steps every day to grow it. Don't just imagine wealth. Execute boldly and consistently until wealth becomes inevitable. The difference between dreamers and achievers is not intelligence, resources, or luck. It is execution. Dreamers keep their ideas in the clouds. Achievers bring their ideas to the ground where tea bounds. Hay can be built, tested, and multiplied. Bold, consistent execution is the bridge that transforms potential into reality, imagination into wealth, and dreams into legacy. The journey from ideas to millions is not mysterious. It is a path paved with execution, courage, and faith in the value you carry. You now know that ideas alone are powerless without execution, that action creates wealth while perfection destroys momentum, that the marketplace pays for value and not just clever concepts, that fear and procrastination are thieves of opportunity, that imagination without implementation is empty, and that only bold, consistent execution separates the dreamers from the achievers. This is not just theory. This is the truth that has built every empire, launched every breakthrough, and created every fortune in history. The question is not whether you have enough ideas. The question is whether you will act on the ones you already have. The question is not whether you are ready. The question is whether you will start before you feel ready. The question is not whether wealth is possible. The question is whether you will be bold and consistent enough to claim it. Your wealth, your success, your impact, it will not come from waiting, wishing, or wondering. It will come from executing, from moving forward even when you feel uncertain, from turning your imagination into implementation, from creating value so powerful that people can't help but pay you for it, from refusing to let fear dictate your decisions or procrastination steal your opportunities, from showing up every single day with courage and consistency until the dream is done. And here is the truth you cannot ignore. Someone, somewhere, is waiting for the solution that only your idea can provide. Someone's life will be changed when you decide to act. Someone's breakthrough will come because you dare to stop dreaming and start building. That is why your idea matters, not just for your wealth, but for the world you are called to impact. So make the decision today. Don't wait another hour, another day, another year. Take the idea you have, no matter how small, and act on it. Build it, launch it, test it, refine it, and multiply it. Do it boldly, do it consistently, and do it with unshakable faith. Because when you commit to execution, you don't just create wealth, you create legacy. The secret to turning ideas into millions has never been hidden. It has always been the same. Take action, create value, and never stop moving forward. The time for dreaming is over. The time for execution is now.